So here's my latest eBay bargain find, and it's a piece of arcade hardware. It's an SNK Hyper Neo Geo 64, and if you don't know what that is, I'll explain it all and show you in just a moment. But I got this for a really good price. I got it for less than the price of like a PlayStation 3 or a 360 game, and I got the arcade motherboard and one game for that price included. It was £21 and then like £9 postage on top of it. The board itself was old and new stock, or at least that's how the seller described it. So it came in its original box, came with the manual, and I also got one used game with it as well, which I was really happy about. It's the, you can see the Hyper Neo Geo instruction manual just there, and here's the box for it. So it's all legit. You can see made in Japan, Hyper Neo Geo, the serial number, and it came in its original box with the blue bubble wrapping and everything. I'm really happy about that, but that's not too interesting to look at, so I'll just show you the machine itself. So this is it here, and this is the game it came with. It came with Fatal Fury Wild Ambition. So if you don't know what the Hyper Neo Geo 64 is, it's basically the arcade hardware that SNK came out with to replace their MVS, which is just sitting over there, just playing some Shock Troopers Second Squad there. But this one here is more like well, they brought it out in the mid to late 90s, I believe, and it was kind of to compete with the likes of Sega and Virtua Fighter and all that sort of thing. So graphically it looks kind of similar to, say, like a PlayStation 1 Sega Saturn. I think it's a bit more powerful than that though. But there's hardly any games released for it. It wasn't too successful, which is a real shame because it's actually a really nice machine. There was 4 fighting games, 1 driving game and 1 shooting game. The driving game and the shooting game both required different motherboards, so you couldn't just plug them into say this one here and play them. It had to be the specific board for that game. But with the fighting games, they all plug into this motherboard and you can play them no problem. This big thing on the top here is the actual cartridge. So I'll show you that in just a moment, but just to give you a quick idea of, I mean, if you really don't know what any of this stuff is, over here I've got my MVS. So the MVS is what you'd find in a Neo Geo arcade cabinet basically. So you've got your cartridges here, so the likes of this one here as an example. This is Metal Slug. So that just plugs into the motherboard over there and it gets hooked up to your cabinet. You can play your games and what have you. So with this here, it's the same kind of idea. You've got a JAMA edge connector here. This is the second revision of the motherboard. I believe the first ones didn't have that, but this one does. So you can just plug your JAMA edge connector into that there. Just plug it in here and then I can plug it into my TV. Obviously if it was in an arcade it would get plugged into the monitor and everything in the arcade, but I can use this at home, which is cool. And on the top here, instead of having these cartridges, it has these ones here. So I'll try and remove this one-handed, but they're absolutely massive and they're kind of encased in metal as well, which is cool. Huge big cart here. I don't know if you can really call this a cartridge. It'd be more like a ROM board or a game board. You can see it plugs into the motherboard with these 2 strips at either end there, but it's huge. Big metal beast of a game board. So this is Fatal Fury Wild Ambition. There are another couple of games, there's another 3 games, so they just plug directly into the top of this thing here. And as I say, graphically they look very similar to PlayStation 1 or Sega Saturn, maybe a bit better than that. Let's plug that back in there and I'll hook this all up and show you what it looks like. But that is the, Jesus, really heavy. That's the board there. There's a daughter board, and the main board is actually inside this part here, but huge heavy piece of arcade equipment. I was just really surprised to get this for the price I did. I'd actually been watching the guy's auction for a couple of months now, and originally I just thought it was for the game and nothing else, but then I realised the other day he's actually selling the game boards, the game boards and the motherboards for basically under £20. He's only just put the prices up on them, and it's even still only like £30 for this whole setup, which I thought was an amazing deal. At the time of making this video, he even has another 8 of them in stock, old new stock, so if you're interested in getting one of these things, I think now's the perfect time before they all disappear. But this is in the UK, and from what I can gather, these Hyper Neo Geo 64s are not really worth that much for whatever reason. But anyway, starting to ramble. What I'll do is I'll hook this up and I'll show you it playing on the TV and give you an idea of what it's like. That's everything hooked up, ready to go. I've got my JAMA harness connected to the Neo Geo, I've got my power supply over there, and I'm just going to be using my Neo Geo CD controller to play with. That's connected to the harness just here. So if I fire this up, you'll be able to see what it's like. And the first thing you should get is a blue screen, and it'll run through some system checks, as you can see. And if the screen seems a bit flickery, or if the image doesn't seem like it's centered properly, it's because I've had this TV optimized and set up for the MVS, so I've not really had a chance to do that the same for the Hyper Neo Geo yet, but I might do that in future. But there we go. There's the intro. I'll just let the intro of the game play through and you can see what that's like. And sorry about any glare or shakiness, but it's really difficult to film a CRT TV. It's got really good sound quality, and as you can see, the graphics are kind of like PlayStation 1, Sega Saturn. They're a bit better, but yeah, it's definitely got that late 90s feel to it. So what I think I'll do is I'll just let this play for a bit, but I'll put the camera up on the tripod and I'll do some gameplay. But overall, the visuals are really crisp, clear, and it does sound great as well. So I'll pop in a few credits here and show you some gameplay. Just your standard controls, really. You've got your characters here to choose from. Let's go with Mai. And I'm terrible at this game, so don't expect anything amazing. It plays a lot like, just what you'd expect, like Virtua Fighter. It's just a real shame that the system didn't take off and there wasn't more games released for it, because it'd be really interesting to see what they could have come up with if they'd invested in development for it. So there you go, that was a quick look at the Neo Geo Hyper 64, my latest eBay bargain purchase, and I've just died. But if you're interested in picking one of these up, I think now's probably a good time to do it, because there's still quite a few of them left on eBay at the moment, and they don't seem to be selling for very much, at least here in the UK anyway. But there you go, so thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.